Hello students, welcome to our channel Chem-Math Shastra. Today we are going to learn the electronic configurations of heavy elements with the transition elements. You may remember on our last class we already learned the electronic configuration of S and P block elements by using the 2n square rule. Today we will elaborately know all of this. So we have two problems on our last class about the potassium and calcium. We have to write the electronic configuration as 2881 and 2882 in the place of 289. So hope these two problems will solve today by our today's discussion. Okay, so let's start. Before start to learn the electronic configuration in this elaborate manner, I like to show you the history behind the atomic theory. It is obviously very important and very much interesting. I will discuss it very briefly, so please don't lose your interest. What actually happened in the year of 1930? Niels Bohr already concluded about the law that is 2n square, where the electrons are fixed in those circular orbit. Okay. Now further, during analysis the spectra coming from different elements, Sommerfeld in the year of 1915, just after 2 years, observed a new thing, that is not only the circular orbit, rather there are some elliptical orbits also. But still, he fixed those electrons in those elliptical path. Okay, they are fixed. Niels Bohr as well, the Sommerfeld fixed those electrons in those elliptical or circular path. In the meantime, year of 1925, de Broglie had come and discovered the wave-particle duality nature of electron. He told that as electron is a very teeny particle, so not as only particle, rather it can also behave as a wave. From this theory or hypothesis, a long process can further proceed to make the whole conception clear. In the year of 1926, Schrödinger had come and by using the quantum mechanical approach, he discovered the wave equation of the teeny particle electron, from where the conception, mainly the conception of the orbital had arises. And all the scientists, they agreed that one thing, that the electrons are as very smaller or teeny particles, so their position cannot be fixed in those circular or elliptical path. Rather, we can consider electron as a wave or a cloud of electrons and a place where the electrons can maximum accumulate. So these parts of the orbit which are present along with those circular or the elliptical path, then the orbital conception are generally come. Okay. So at first of the class we have to know about a most important term of chemistry or atomic structure, that is quantum number, which is consisting with 4 quantum number. I am not going for elaborate about those, but 4 quantum number you have to remember. One is the principal quantum number. The second one is the subsidiary quantum number, which is also known as azimuthal quantum number or orbital quantum number. Third one is magnetic quantum number, and the fourth one is spin quantum number. Okay, so the first 2 quantum number, that are the principal quantum number and the subsidiary quantum number, are important or enough for our electronic configuration. Other 2 quantum numbers are obviously very much important for to designate an electron. Actually, these quantum numbers are nothing but the address of an electron. Okay, by using this 4 quantum number, we can closely find an electron or completely find an electron, where it is situated, what is its spin value, etc. Everything one can find about an electron. But to know the electronic configuration, we only need these 2 quantum number, that is principal quantum number and subsidiary quantum number. Okay. So it is about the principal quantum number. At the last classes we had read about the KLMN shells or the orbits. You have to remember one thing, students, that these are the principal quantum number, which are denoted as known as small n. that is small n, where the principal quantum number small n. For k, obviously this is 1, that is small n equals to 1. For L it is 2, for M it is 3, and for N this is 4. So these are the principal quantum number. Now we are coming for the subsidiary quantum number, which is the main motive of our today's class, and which will provide us to know about more about the electronic configuration. So what is about subsidiary quantum number? For the further electronic atomic theory, we had come to know that there are many subcells present under a shell. Okay, those subcells are mainly known as orbitals, and which are the closest part of the electronic position. That's, if we take our magnifying glass more closely to the electrons, then we can find, or more closely to the orbits, then we can find there are some subshells or suborbits, that we can must say them at orbitals, present under one shell. Okay, under one orbit. So those are known as orbital. Okay, so we have to know that how many subcells are present under a shell, and this is very important question. Okay, so we have to find one formula, that is number of subcells are find by the formula that is from 0 to n minus 1. What does it designate? It designated that the subcell number. How? Let us assume for k, or the k shell, there n is equal to 1. That means n is equals to 1 minus 1. That's equals to 0. Means 0 to 0 means only one subcell is present for the k orbit. Now for L orbit, as L orbit, this is for k orbit. Okay. Now for L orbit, this n value is 2 minus 1. 0 is obviously a subcell, and then 2 minus 1 means 1. Then there is two subcell present. One is 0 and another one is 1. Okay. So for the M orbit, there must be 0 to, this is n is 3 minus 1, that's equals to 2. Means how many subcells are there? 0, 1, 2. It means 0 to n minus 1. This long range will be the number of subcells present under this cell. Okay. Now for M shell, these are 3 subcells are present. Obviously for N cell, there are 4 subcells are present. So how they are looked like? I want to show you one picture. That is, I have drawn here an atom. Here in center, there is the nucleus part, which I denoted as positive, and next we had circularly drawn some orbit. This is k orbit, this is L orbit, this is M orbit, and this is N orbit. Okay, so according to our calculations of the number of subshell, we had find that the k orbit is consisting only with one orbital. Okay, so this orbital is the only one orbital. Next, for the k orbit, for the L orbit, there is 2 orbital. One is 0 and one is 1. So if I take this as 1, there will be another, that is 0. Okay, so this is 0 and this is 1. These are the 2 subcells present for the L shell. Okay. Next, for the M, there are 3 orbital. One is 0. One is 0. This is 0. If this I take as 1, and the next one is 2, which is P. Oh, which is 2. Next, for the N, I had not calculated that. For N, there is 4 orbital present, 0, 1, 2 and 3. Okay. You may calculate by applying 0 to n minus 1 rule. Then we can find there are 4 orbitals are present. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2 and another one is 3. Okay. So these are the subcells. How they are present? They are present under a shell. For K shell, there is only one subcell. For L, there is 2 subcell. For M, there is 3 subcell. And for N, there is 4 subcell. Okay. Now, these subsets which are denoted as the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, those have a particular name. What are their name? We have to know, and those are the most important. When the mark of the subcell is 0, then it is known as S or S orbital. When the mark is known as marked as 1, then it is p orbital. Okay. When it is as 2, then it is d orbital, and for 3 this is f orbital. You have to remember this. So what is happening for k? There is only, obviously this is 0. 1 is means 0. It means k only have one s orbital. Okay. I want to take my camera more close. So this is for s orbital. For L orbit there is s orbital as well p orbital. Okay. Now for m orbit there are 3 orbitals. One is s, one is p, and one is d. For n orbit there are 4. One is s, one is p, one is d, and one is f. It means what happening? It is happening that the 0 marked orbital is s, 1 marked orbital is p, 2 marked orbital is d, and the 3 marked orbital is f. Okay, and this is all about the orbitals, how the orbitals are arranged under an cell or orbit. Now, to arrange the electron in this orbit and then the orbitals, we have to know a law, that is the Aufbau principle, which is very important law for electronic configuration. And now we are going to learn about the Aufbau principle. In this Aufbau principle, it is to be said that the electrons are arranged in these orbitals according to their energies. That is, at that orbital, the electrons will come faster where the energy is lower than the other orbitals. Okay, so electrons will come in those orbitals according their energies, and these energies can be found by the law n plus L rule, where the n is the number of principal quantum number and L is the number of subsidiary quantum number. Okay, so by those energies the electron has to be arranged arranged in these orbitals accordingly. Okay, so how the energies are calculated? Let us have to calculate for the energies of 3s orbital. So the n is 3, n plus L rule. So n is equals to 3, and for s the value is 0. So 0. So the value is 3. Okay. Now for f, what will be the value? For 4, this is n is equals to 4, and for f the value is 3. So the energy value is 7. Okay. So by this calculation we have to arrange the electrons in those orbitals. Now, to remember the energies of different orbitals, I want to show you a very interesting trick by which you can easily remember all things. So these are my 4 orbitals, S, P, D, F, and you have to write those in these 4 lines. How? You have to write this reversely 2 times. For the first line you have to write SS. For the second line you have to introduce the P, and you have to write this reverse like PS and PS, obviously 2 times in all cases. Next, for the third line you have to write DPS, DPS, oppositely DPS, and for the fourth line you have to write FDPS and FDPS. Okay, now you have to write the numbers. At first I will start with S. 1S, 2S, then 3S, then 4S, then 5S, then 6S, 7S, 8S. You have to numbering the S orbitals. Next, you have to numbering the P orbital. from 2, that is 2p, 3p, 4p, 5p, 6p, 7p. Okay. Next, you have to write the d orbitals: 3d, 4d, 5d and 6d. Now for f orbital, first one is 4 and the second one is 5f. Okay. Now to arrange this electron in those orbital, we have to know the total capacity of orbitals. So for the s orbital, it can maximum take 2 electrons. For p orbitals, its capacity is 6. For d orbitals, 10. And for f orbital, it can maximum take 14 electrons. And how to fill the electron in these orbitals? The orbitals which having the lower energy will fill up at first, and then it will increase according to the energy. Okay. So if there is orbitals which having the lower energy, that will take the electrons more faster than the after one. So by using these rules, we have to get, or we are coming to some examples to discuss it elaborately. Okay. Now we are going to discuss this configuration by having some examples which we already done in our last classes by 2n square rule. But today we will put those electron in those fixed or particular orbitals. Okay. So at first I have taken, those are not in order. At first I have taken boron 5. You have to remember this chart. So it is here. So at first 5 electrons are there for boron. So 1s, there 2 electrons can accumulate, so 2, that have to write in head of 1s. Then 2s, which can also take 2 electrons, 2. Next for 2p, which can take 6 electron, but only 1 electron has rest here, so I have to write 1 here. Okay. So this is the modern electronic configuration of elements. Next, oxygen 8, 1s2, next 2s2, next 4 electrons are already done, then 4 electrons are rest, so 4, 8 electrons had completed. Next for silicon 14, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 10 electron had completed. Next 3s, then 3s2, 12 electron had completed. Then 3p, how many electrons are left? 2, 3p2. Okay. Next for the case of potassium and calcium, which make us trouble on the last day. So for potassium having 19 electron, how to write? 1s2, next 2s2, next 2p6, next 3s2, next 3p6. You have to calculate that already 18 electrons had done. Then 1 electron is remain, so that electron will come to 4s1. Okay, so now there is no discrimination. For the calcium, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6 and 4s2. Now here is also no discrimination. So can you conclude this why there was a problems in the 2n square rule, but here is no problem? As because the third orbit, that is the M shell, has split it now the 3s, 3p and 3d orbitals. Now we can easily put those electrons without any doubt. Okay. Okay, now we are discussing about some configuration of some transition elements. For the case of vanadium, there are 23 electrons. So 1s2, then 2s2, then 2p6, then 3s2, then 3p6. Already 18 electrons has done. Then 4s2, you can see that is 4s is now. Okay, 3p, then 4s. Now 4s2, and next 3d electrons is coming, orbital is coming. Now already I had write 20 electrons. Next last 3 electrons or the rest 3 electron will come at 3d3. It can accumulate maximum 10, so I can easily put 3 electrons here. So this configuration, that is till 18, this is the configurations of argon, as it is a noble gas or inert gas. So argon is the core electronic configuration. So further that I can put argon as the core electronic configuration. It means here argon, right, indicating that this configuration is already here. Okay, it means 18 electrons is already done. Then 4s2 make 20. Now rest 6 will come at 3d6. 3d can maximum accumulate 10 electron, so I can easily put 6 here. Next nickel 28, again argon. Next 4s2 and 3d8. Okay, now next two example for chromium 24 and copper 29. These two are the most important example of this electronic configuration, and there are two anomalies. You have to remember it very carefully. You have to remember one new theory, that is very smaller theory, but what is the theory? That if any orbitals has full-filled or half-filled configuration, then it can higher stability. Okay, that is, it's always want to fill its orbital completely or halfly, and if it is possible anyhow, then that will give the higher stable electronic configuration. So in case of chromium 24, so at first argon, then 4s2, then 3d4. It can make the 24 electrons filled in this orbit, in these orbitals, but it is not actually happening. What is happening? You have to remember it very carefully. What is happening? One electron for the 4s orbital coming to the 3d orbital to make it 3d5. Why? Because 3d can maximum accumulate 10 electrons, and if it can accumulate 5 electrons, then it will have the half filled stability. To get that stability, one electron coming from s orbital to 3d orbital and make it 3d5. Same case for copper. Copper has argon, then 4s2, then 3d9, then it can make 29, but it is not actually happening again. What is happening? One electron coming to 3d to make it fulfilled, that is 10 electron, so it is became 4s1 and 3d10, and for the case of chromium it's became 4s1 and 3d5. You have to remember these two very carefully. These are most important, and these are actually given in the examination all times. Okay, so this is all about the electronic configurations of D block elements or the transition elements, and all about the electronic configurations of heavier elements also. I can show you one electronic configuration, that is for bromine, that is 35. Here also you can put argon. You can also find the electronic configuration of some heavier elements like bromine. I want to show you bromine, the electronic configuration of bromine having 35 electrons. How does it put it? At first I have to write argon, that is for 18. Next 4s2, it make 20. Then 3d10, it make it 20 and 10, means 30. I need 5 electrons. So after 3d, here 4p will come. 4p can maximum accumulate how many electrons? 6 electrons. So I need 5 electrons to make it 35. So 3d4, 3d10 and 4p5. So this is the electronic configuration of bromine. So in this way you can find the electronic configurations of all heavy elements, every elements rather. You can find all electronic configuration of all heavy elements. Hope this video can make your conception crystal clean. If you like, please share with your friends and subscribe. Thank you for watching.